Hello, we're here for Bladezone in Nantes, France, for interviewing Paul Wiffen about his work on the music of Blade Runner with Vangelis. So, Paul, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. I was involved in a couple of synthesizer designs that were distributed in France by Francis Monde out of Musicland. And when he came to London, he offered to take me up to see Vangelis at his Captain Nemo studios. And we took the two synths up there. Vangelis wasn't actually that interested in the synths, but while we were waiting for him, I'd sat and played with a few of his synths. And when he came in, he heard me playing a few sounds and came over and tried them and said, never mind the synthesizers, I'll give you a job if you like making sounds for me. And it turned out he'd just been given the commission for the music for Blade Runner. And Ridley had told him that he wanted no sounds that anyone had ever heard before. So it was a case of trying to make completely new sounds, and that's what Vangelis hired me to do. So I would sit for most of the day making up sounds. Then when Vangelis came in the evening, he would try them out, see which ones he liked, and he would carry those through into the studio where he was composing the soundtrack with Ridley sitting in. And that went on for about 3 months, I suppose. And, you know, one day he would say, I want a whistle sound. Another day I want an explosion. Another day I want a strings, but it mustn't be a strings that anyone has ever heard before. So that was really it. And I just got to play with Vangelis' synths all day, every day for 3 months, which was fantastic. And I'd make the same kind of sound on 2 or 3 different synths, and he'd play them, and he'd decide which one he liked and carry that one in the studio. And then I did the Bounty with Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson. That was another Vangelis score. We did that one in the Hotel Pierre in New York, and that was with the first ever S900. And so it was mainly a sampled score. So very different from Blade Runner, which was almost all synthesizers. And then over the years I did some stuff for Bitter Moon for Vangelis again, and 1492 Conquest of Paradise. That was all actually recorded in Vangelis's hotel suite in Cannes, because Polanski had picked him as part of the jury that year. But the 1492 film couldn't wait, because they needed to re-release it on the 500th anniversary. So we were doing it in 1991 in Cannes to make sure it was ready for release in 1992. And then I did a little bit on Alexander 10 years ago. But Vangelis is virtually retired now, so he doesn't really do any more scores. Apparently Ridley did ask him to do Prometheus, and he turned it down. So. And then I've done a few soundtracks with Stevie Wonder, The Woman in Red, Jungle Fever, and and very famously, the song that I did with Stevie, called Skeletons, was featured in Die Hard in the scene where the black limo driver is having a party with 2 girls in the back of the limo. That's the song I did with Stevie, called Skeletons. But most of my stuff was for people in the recording studio rather than on soundtracks. So I did Spies Like Us with Paul McCartney, the Montagues and the Capulets from Romeo and Juliet with Keith Emerson on the Emerson, Lake and Powell album, the whole of the Third Asia album with Jeff Downes. And then much more recently, Peter Gabriel used me for Up and the Millennium Dome album. So that was like at the end of the 90s. Other than that, I was mainly working for synthesizer manufacturers to make sure that the sounds that they sent out with their instruments were the best possible ones and help sell the unit. So that's my brain is mush, I'm afraid. So I can't think of much else to say.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Many thanks to take time to answer.
No, sorry.
I know you are very tired, so.
I should explain I drove from Lake Como without stopping to come here. So.